cast iron chicken chili pizza. This is my all-time favorite pizza to make and eat, of course. It has everything I love in a pizza. Sweet and spicy chicken toppings that's still extremely juicy. Thick fluffy dough and crispy crust. Look at that. So our pizza dough will take some time to rest and rise, so let's start with that. We need a cup and a half of water. For that I'm adding half a tablespoon of active dry yeast, half a tablespoon of sugar, and about a tablespoon and a half of oil, preferably olive oil, 2 pinches of salt, 2 cups of flour. Just mix that in to form a shaggy dough. This is a high hydration dough, which just means the water to flour ratio is higher, so the dough will be a lot softer, sticky, and harder to work with. But this is one of the best ways to get really fluffy pizza dough. Just going to cover that and let it rise in the fridge. Half an hour to 1 hour is good, but overnight is much better. And now for the chicken. I'm using 2 chicken breasts. Just going to medium dice them, slice into 3 even strips lengthwise, then cut across. Just going to do the same for the next breast, making sure I remove any undesirables like bones and fatty tissues. I like pizza with minimal topping. I guess that's why I like regular cheese pizza so much. So whatever topping I put on it should be packed with intense flavor and not clash with everything else. Can't really enjoy it if my taste buds are confused, but that's just me. So that's why I will make the chicken the star of the show. Just going to put that in our bowl and we'll marinate it now. I'm using half a tablespoon of Cajun spice. It's really salty, so we won't add any salt to this marinade. Chili garlic sauce. It doesn't have a spicy kick. The flavors of chili and garlic come out really strong. Oh, and also salty. About a tablespoon of that is good. Just work that in, get it incorporated. Cornstarch. This will coat the chicken and make it super juicy on the inside and extremely crispy on the outside. Just mix that in. That could take a bit more cornstarch. Can use some water to loosen it up, easier to work with. Add water or cornstarch until the batter completely coats the breast pieces. And that's done. Just going to rest this in the fridge until it's time to fry. So while that's resting, let's make our sweet chili sauce. I'm using frozen chilies. Scotch bonnet pepper is great, but chili peppers have a special place in my heart and on my plate. Not extremely spicy, but really nice pepper flavor, so I use it a lot. I have trees outside, so whenever I have excess, I just freeze them. They keep for months. So I'm just going to puree chili pepper. Stems are okay, I'm leaving them on. They don't really add or take away anything from sauce, and they usually end up soft at the end. Just going to add about a cup of water just to get these pureed. Cover and blend. Not really spicy at all. Get everything together. Tablespoon and a half of chili garlic sauce. So that we're going to add our pureed chili peppers. Cups of brown sugar. About a cup of honey. 2 cups of lime juice. Vinegar is good too. You just need some acid to offset the sweet. Salt. Just going to put this on over medium heat to bring to a boil. You might want to cover the pot so you can actually stay in the kitchen. Let it boil for 10 minutes and then thicken with cornstarch slurry. Simmer until all the bits of pepper are soft and then you can remove from the flame. So you might be asking, Nick, what are you doing with so much sauce? Well, everything is great with sweet chili sauce. It's my ketchup and hot sauce replacement all in one. Fried chicken, shrimp, other sauces, stews. I use it for almost anything. So now that our sauce is done, let's check in on our dough. It's been over an hour and it's doubled in size. Using flour to manipulate this dough wouldn't work so well. So I'm using a bit of oil on my hands so it's a bit easier to handle. Just going to pull the dough from the sides of the bowl. That's soft and sticky, but that's exactly what we want to get really fluffy pizza dough. I'm going to work in some more flour, it'll take a bit more. I'm just trying to incorporate a little more flour and not overwork it. That is really soft. I want to let this rest for a few more minutes so it's easier to work with. I'm just going to grease another bowl and transfer our dough into it. That first bowl wasn't good for that. I'm just going to get some oil on top of it so it doesn't form a skin. And cover and set aside for about 15 minutes while I clean up and get my work surface clean. So from this point moving forward, I will be only using oil, not flour. This dough is so soft, flour wouldn't really help. Just going to grease my surface, throw on the dough, ensuring my hands are well greased as well, and split it evenly. What I'm trying to do now is form dough balls. It's a bit tricky because the dough is so soft. Let's try to shape it and fold under the irregular edges. Almost there now. Now let's prep our cast iron pan. This is a 12-inch skillet and our dough should fit perfectly with a bit of work. Grease with oil. Spread evenly to coat the bottom and pay special attention to the corners. That's a pretty good non-stick surface, but I will also be adding cornmeal for extra insurance and texture. A bit of salt, this adds flavor and helps fix the bottom of the pizza. Just get that evenly distributed as well. I'm greasing my hands and I'm adding one of our dough balls to the center of the pan and working it to the edges. I'm simply pushing out the thicker areas to the sides of the pan. Oh, and in case you are wondering, that's not actually a technique. I just have a crooked index finger. If the dough keeps pulling back, let it rest for a few minutes. It will be more relaxed and won't fight back as much. If it begins to get too sticky, add more oil to your hands or even the top of the dough and keep working it. Oil, push, rest. We'll repeat these steps till we reach the edges. It's a bit of work, but it will be well worth it. So after a couple repetitions, our dough should cover the entire bottom of our cast iron pan. And now that that's done, we will set it aside on the stove top. It will continue to rise and fluff up, and we can now give the breast we have been marinating some attention. These should fry up really crispy and juicy. Start with our oil. I'm using a wok just because, but any other heavy bottom pot will do. You might have to add a bit of water to loosen up the chicken. Get the oil hot and add the breast pieces one at a time. You can move them around a bit so they cook evenly on sides. It should be done in about after 5 minutes. I will remove them from the oil and listen to all of that crispiness. So enough playing with our food. Let's chop these. Oops, that is moist. It will still be juicy when our pizza is done. Kinda forgot I was even doing pizza. Chicken is so good. Taste this. Okay, so time to sauce. Let's place them in a container. Can't get over that crispiness. So I'm just going to pour over some of our sweet chili sauce. And past that, coat each piece of breast evenly with spicy goodness. And that's great all by itself. Spicy chicken bites. Now let's do another taste test. Tomato sauce time. Our pizza is finally coming together. So I'm using tomato sauce from a can, about 16 ounces. I'm going to season this. I get really good results this way. A couple pinches of salt, a little of our sweet chili sauce, about quarter cup. Tablespoon of tomato paste. This increases the acidity and grounds all our flavors. I'm going to mix this thoroughly. Oh, and I almost forgot a couple tablespoons of oil. This keeps the pizza super moist. So now back to our dough on the stove top. I put it on medium heat. I'll be using a broiler for the top of the pizza. So I need to get the bottom just right. I'm just checking to see how far along it is. I will shoot for it to be a little less done than I want it because the heat from the cast iron will continue to brown it. That needs another minute. Another minute is gone, so I'm going to sauce the top. Start in the center and work your way to the corner of the pan. Okay, so if the sauce spills over the edge, we actually want that. Cheese. I'm using a block of low mozzarella I shredded myself. I usually avoid pre-shredded cheese because manufacturers use starches to keep the cheese separated, but the starch usually ends up burning really easy and melts poorly. So now let's add our chicken. Let's place them evenly over the top of our pizza and sprinkle on a bit more cheese. And that's ready for the broiler. I'm actually using a toaster oven with the broiler setting on. We want a really high heat for this step, about 450 degrees. My oven doesn't get up that high, but I get good results when I place the pizza close to the heating element. After about 4 or 5 minutes, that's done. It should pop out really easily, even though it's hot. Just going to slide it onto our cotton board to cool. Fresh basil. Put a couple leaves over it in an even pattern. Eating this now would scorch your mouth. Speaking from experience. Let that cool for about 5 minutes. Still will be hot, but manageable. Now let's cut into it. And look at that. That is super juicy. Really crispy on the bottom. Oh, and if you don't have a cast iron pan, a stainless steel pan works well too. I made this pizza with extra toppings and in an 8-inch stainless steel skillet. Still a really great pizza, but I'm a minimalist. It's a lot thicker because I use the same amount of dough in a smaller pan. Look at that crust.